Lieutenant, thank you so much for joining us. We hear so much about spay and neutering our pets that maybe sometimes vaccination gets forgotten about a little bit. What are the rules and regulations for vaccinating specifically dogs and cats in Clark County?
Well, any dog or cat or ferret over 4 months of age needs to be vaccinated against rabies. That's the only vaccination required by law. We would recommend vaccinations against distemper, parvo for your dogs, because those are very contagious and they can be very detrimental to the animal's health. But as far as the required by law, it's rabies.
So again, you have some recommended series of shots that you think people should that they should get for their dogs or their cats?
Right. We would recommend vaccinations against the parvo virus, against distemper. You can get those at your vet. They vary in prices.
Obviously, that's one of the main benefits of especially a dog or a cat, is that you're protecting your animal and also protecting them from contagious disease that they could spread or contract, right?
Correct. And when you're taking your dog on a walk anywhere, I mean, just sniffing is the way distemper and parvo are transmitted. So just sniffing the ground, if they sniff something that had come in contact with the virus, it's very likely that they may catch it. And if they're not vaccinated, it's very difficult to treat.
Quite often, especially when it comes to spay and neutering, whether it's myth or not, sometimes people think their animal's personality changes. Is that come into play at all with vaccinations at all?
No, not with vaccinations. The vaccinations are just that. They're just vaccinations, just like you and I get a vaccination.
A little bit different topic, Lieutenant. Squatters. We've seen a number of squatters, people living illegally in houses. Many of them bring their animals, maybe dogs or cats, with them. Are you seeing an uptick in the number of animals, abandoned animals, in these houses?
What we see a lot are calls for abandonments, whether the people are at the residence legally or not. We don't really know that, but if they leave their animals behind, either by accident or design, we get calls for that, and we go and investigate, and if we have to, we would get a warrant to remove the animals.
So that's the procedure for animals like that. If someone thinks they have an abandoned house with animals in it next door, that's what they should do?
Correct. If you call us, we'll start the process of investigating to ensure that the animals truly are abandoned and not just being cared for during hours that people can't see. And because it's private property, before we would be able to go onto the property to remove the animals, we would have to get a warrant in most cases.
Lieutenant, maybe for some new people to Clark County, unlike many other places, jurisdictions, licensing of animals is not required in Clark County. So that makes microchipping even that much more important, doesn't it?
Yes, microchipping and having tags, collars with tags on. The more forms of identification you have on your animals, any pet that you have, the better off you are in case an unfortunate incident happens where your animal gets loose and ends up at the shelter or anywhere. It's a lot easier to reunite the owners with their animals if there's the more pieces of identification, the better. But the shelter scans for microchips. Every vet scans for microchips. We have microchip scanners in our trucks that we can use, and they can't be removed. If somebody finds your animal, they can remove a tag if they want to. You can't remove a microchip, and it's registered to you, and we would be able to know that.
If someone wants to buy a puppy or a kitty, obviously there's a lot of great animal shelters around, including the SPCA and our good friends in Henderson, but of course the lead animal shelter is the best. But should you give your personal and professional opinion why someone, if they want a puppy or a kitty, should go seek out an animal shelter first?
Well, you should always look to adopt instead of shopping for a pet. There's plenty of rescues and animal shelters if you don't want to use the lead. There's plenty of rescues out there, but the lead animal shelter, they have so many animals that are nice and looking for great homes. And yeah, any rescue group you can find, but the animal shelter is usually the best.
Is it illegal to sell? We hear so much about Craigslist sellers and backyard breeders. It's not illegal for me to sell my puppies, right? Or kittens to you?
Well, if you want to sell an animal, a puppy or a cat in Clark County, you have to have a fancier's permit and or a breeder's permit. And to do that, you have to have the permit number on any ad that you post, in any Craigslist ad, any ad in the paper, anything online. You have to have that permit number in order to legally sell an animal in dog or cat in Clark County.
Are there any, but we still hear about, some unscrupulous sellers of these animals that are obviously not adhering to those regulations, right?
Some. One thing you would want to look for if you're looking to buy an animal is ask for that permit number. If they give you the permit number, you can certainly call animal control and confirm that that's a valid permit and not one that's expired. You can also ask for veterinarian records of any of the animals that you're buying to ensure they're in good health, to ensure they're treated, and check for the age, check for the vaccination records again of the animals. You should be able to see the animal before you go to buy it.
And what are the fines? What are the regulations for people selling animals illegally without those permits?
Well, it would be a criminal misdemeanor citation, and we would go to court, and the fines would be set by the court. It varies. It's up to the judge.